that supports the agricultural industry. Any question? And again, representative sample lang. Hindi mo kailangan kunin lahat ng lupa at i-check mo. Kuha lang kag isa ka core sample, no? Tusok ka lang dira randomly, no, in proper distance from each other, and there you go. Question? Okay, next, sample storage. Okay, so as I've said, no, before you actually analyze your sample, no, sometimes you have to first store the sample because pwede kasi your sample is taken from the field. So you have to first store it and then transport it to the actual laboratory. Or kailangan mong may dumating na bagong sample pero may ginagawa ka pang sample na backlog mo. So kailangan mo na maghintay ng bagong samples ng kanilang turn. So i-store mo muna. Okay? Different samples would have different storage requirements. Hindi lahat ng substance kailangan mong i-refrigerator or i-freezer para ma-store. Ang iba kailangan mo lang hindi siya nasinaga ng araw, no? Or naka-tightly cap, no? Or kung ano man ang kailangan ng sample mo. Okay? So due to varying periods of time that may elapse between sample collection and analysis, storage conditions must be such as to avoid undesirable losses. No? So kailangan, you always have to think of your samples as perishables unless they are not. No? Pero pag biological samples yan, most likely masisira at masisira yan. So dapat you are aware of that and you have to do the proper techniques on how to store those samples. Okay? So simple story. Halimbawa, okay. Alam nyo naman na masyadong mahal ngayon ang onion, di ba? Kung nagatanaw mo balita o nagapalit mo sa palengke, mahal kayo ang sibuyas. No? At one point, no, it reached around 800 pesos per kilo, no? Mario Josep. Ngayon, no, the other day I went to the grocery. Ang presyo sa red onion is around 440 pesos per kilo. Ang white onion katong mga imported mga nasa 330. But that's still too much, no? You know, prior to this increase na lang na sa mga 70 pesos, 80 pesos, and so on. Now, there are a lot of things that contributed to that particular economic failure that we had for onion, no? But one of the reasons that they are pointing out is hoarding. Hoarding. Okay? So, alam niyo naman siguro ano yung hoarding, di ba? If you have so much of one particular commodity, no, and you put it inside somewhere safe, and then you are artificially trying to anong tawag niyan? You are artificially decreasing the supply in the market, no? Which most likely will lead to increase in demand and therefore increase in prices. And then pag nag-increase ang price, doon mo na i-release yung mga tinago mo. Yun yung hoarding. That's a criminal offense. Okay? Now, so, merong mga nag-hoard ng sibuyas. Unfortunately, sa sobrang tagal nilang nilagay sa freezer, kasi meron tayong mga post-harvest facility na tinatawag, no? Kanang mga dagkup ito ng mga warehouses that are also serves as freezers, guys, no? Refrigerators, ng mga dagko ng mga rooms. Okay? Sobrang tagal na tinago, nagtubo na lang ang sibuyas. Natubo ang mga sibuyas, no? So mas nasira na noon ang mga sibuyas ng gitago nila, namirisihan sila. What's my point here? The point is, no, for you to store your for you to be efficient in whatever you do in the laboratory, you have to really know how to handle your samples properly. And that includes storage. Okay? That includes storage. Hindi lang yan sa sibuyas. Lahat yan. Pati sa mga biological samples natin. biopsy samples, blood samples, urine, whatnot. Okay? Ano ba ang kailangan nating maintindihan, malaman ng mga general information? Number one, increases in temperature leading to the loss of volatile analytes, thermal or biological degradation, or increased chemical reactivity. So, kailangan, you should put your samples in a storage that has a relatively low temperature and stable. No? So, most of the time, mas maganda na pag storage area, yung low ang temperature. Lower than normal room temp, around 26 degrees Celsius. Okay? And you also have to check humidity. The humidity of the room. Masyado ba, kanang igang ba ang room? Kanang mataas ang moisture sa air, sa atmosphere, sa room, sa storage area? Because humidity can affect the content of hygroscopic solids and liquids. No? Just like salt. Ang asin ninyo, pag expose niyo na sa hangin, mag-imbibe na siya tubig because it's hygroscopic. And there are a lot of samples that are hygroscopic. So most of the time, kailangan niyo siya i-store in a sealed container in an environment that is very less dense or less humid. Okay? Question? Ngayon, pag ang bahay, medyo unaiga umog, no? Basa ang air. No? You could just buy a humidifier, no? Dehumidifier, no? To absorb the moisture in the air. No? But the best thing is, of course, to open your windows and your door. Let air pass through your houses. Right? Para mag-improve ang ventilation sa room, magbaba ang humidity, mas baba ang temperature. Okay. What else? You could also, you also have to be considerate of UV radiation, particularly from the direct sunlight, that could induce photochemical reactions. Most of, for example, mga tambal, mga medicine, that are stored in bottles are bottles that are tinted, kanang brown bottles, di ba? Ano naman, because it lessens the penetration of sunlight or light in general. Pag dark ang bottles, dili ka ng white lang ang bottle. No? Especially for those chemicals or medicine that are susceptible to photochemical reactions. No? Photodecomposition. What else? Air-induced oxidation. Air-induced oxidation, always mo to makita pag nagabalat ka o kaning patatas, no? Ma-oxidize. Pag binalatan mo ang patatas, ma-oxidize siya, medyo mag-darken. No? Apples, no? Most of those fruits, ma-oxidize. No? Air-induced oxidation. That is also true for some chemical samples. What else? Physical separation of samples into layers of different densities or changes in crystallinity. And lastly, containers that may leak or allow contaminants to enter. All of any question? It's still 2:10. Holy shit. We still have 2 more hours to go. Question, guys? Okay, let's proceed. Can you still hear me? Just type it down if you can't. Okay, thank you, Angela. Okay. So, samples to, saan tayo? Okay. Next topic is some you already have some sample. You have stored this sample properly. Now you are getting ready for actual analysis. Some samples can not need any other pre-treatments. Diretso na po nakuha yung source. analyze na yun. Marami ganun. It's just, especially if you're using kits like mga ELISA kits. Do you know what ELISA is? Ano yung ELISA? Have you heard of ELISA kits? Assays? Anyway, so ELISA is no? Ito yung mga basic natin for mga assays. Patak, mga tayo ito, wala na pre-treatment. But there are some that really needs pre-treatment, no? You have to first make sure that the impurity necessary before this. This may involve with the analysis. So, for example, in one industry that uses this example kanang coconut oil ginahimo man ka no for food and others purposes. Okay? I usually gina cold press siya or gina hot. In some cases, in most cases, or samples like coconut nga or corn, no, that prior to it being analyzed, kailangan go, what's the best way to remove moisture? Obviously, evaporate, we should to high temperature, like 100 degrees Celsius, which obviously okay, is pre-treatment. Unless you're just doing storage. No? What else? Weighing before and after drying enables the water content to be calculated, or it can be established by thermogravimetric analysis. Okay? Moisture content, ibadaan lang mo sa machine. Mabalaan na dayon, marid na dayon kung pila iyang moisture content. No? What else? What are the other examples of pre-treatments? No? So, kanina, you are using temperature to eliminate excess moisture. Also is separating analyze into groups with common characteristics by distillation, filtration, centrifugation, or solid or solvent phase extraction. Sino dito ang umiinom ng liquor? Kinsa na nakainom diri og distilled beverage? Kinsa na nakainom diri tanduay? Libra San Miguel. Taas ang kamay. Najid. Fritz. Oh. So, if you have experience drinking these types of beverages, no, mga spirits and liquors, not just beer. Beer is just a product of fermentation. But those with higher alcohol contents are usually a byproduct of the process of distillation. But Latundinia distillers, the one that produces, I think, Ginebra San Miguel. Anyway, so in the process of distillation, no, halimbawa, you produce, let's say, wine, no. By the way, do you know what's the difference of wine and beer? In biology, in fermentation. Yeah, Jinli, ano difference nun?
Ang wine po, sir, is mostly gawa po sa grapes. Tapos ang beer, depende po. Merong mga sa wheat, sa bay po. Iba-iba pong klase.
Okay, no, that's correct. So basically, pag sinabi mong wine, it's a byproduct of fermentation of fruits. Fruit. Okay? Fruit na fruit. So any fruit, no? If you ferment the fruit, you ferment the sugar from the fruit, you produce a wine. So langka wine, santal wine, manzanitas, whatever fruit you have, you'll end up with a wine. Okay? Beers, technically speaking, are fermented grains. Product of fermentation of grain. Any grain. So like wheat, rice, halimbawa, rice wine, sake. Rice wine, dahil ang rice ay grain, no? Grass, galing sa grass. Ibig sabihin, it's technically a beer. No? Nakuha niyo? Kanang most beers that you drink, usually gikan na siya sa mais, sa corn. Okay? Anyway, so when you ferment grain to produce beer, or you ferment fruit to produce wine, merong certain level, like around 8%, no? Na pag umabot ng ganun kataas ang alcohol level doon sa wine, di na siya mag-increase further. Why? Because it's a limiting factor for the fermenters, like the yeast, no? Saccharomyces cerevisiae, no? Kanang baker's yeast, but the one that ferments. Okay? Pag mataas kayo ang alcohol, kay alcohol is a product of fermentation man, ha? Okay? And of course, carbon dioxide mo na magbula-bula. Anyway. By the way, why am I saying that? Saan ba ako? Distillation nga pala. Okay, anyway. So, just to continue, no, kailangan, kung gusto mo magkaroon ng higher alcohol content, you have to distill your beverage. No? And distillation, it's a simple chemical process in which you boil your mixture of water and alcohol. Let's say imuhang wine, ipa-boil mo na sabay, and because of the differing boiling point of alcohol and water, mas una mag-boil ang ano? Mas una mag-boil ang or mag-evaporate ang alcohol. So pag nag-evaporate ang alcohol, no? Hindi aabot yan ng 100 degrees Celsius. Ang boiling point sa tubig, no? Nasa mga 70, 80%, depending on what alcohol that you have. So mag-evaporate siya una, and then you just catch the evaporating alcohol, i-condense nimo siya balik, tapos ipatulo nimo. Now you have a more concentrated alcohol. That's how you produce mga distilled beverage like gin, vodka from potato, pa. tequila, from agave, ano pa? Rum. Rum is from wine, grape wine, and brandy. Okay? Any question? So that's distillation. Distilled. Kaya siya tinawag na distilled beverage. Okay? So these types of separation techniques, no, are used prior to the actual analysis. That's why they can be part of sample pre-treatment. What else? Removing or reducing the levels of matrix components. Ito yung mga matrix components, kana ba mga sa Bisaya pa ka ng apil-apil lang, sagol-sagol lang, hindi kailangan. Right? Halimbawa, sa mga hindi kumakain ng spices, na pag magkaong ka, let's say, adobo or sinigang na pusit, ano ba, hipon, whatever. No? Siyempre, ang sinigang, naaman na yung mga luya, naaman na yung mga kamatis, whatever, no? Pero hindi mo siya ginakaon, yun, they will form part of the matrix components, things that you don't really need or you don't really want, no, that could interfere to the measurement, no, yun yung mga matrix components, kaya kailangan siyang i-remove or i-reduce. What else? Concentrating the analytes if they are below the concentration range, no? Example of this, again, evaporation, distillation, no? So for example, if you want to really know how much salt is found in 1 liter of seawater, how would you measure it? Mabilis lang, ipa-evaporate lang nimo ang tubig sa seawater. What you will have is, of course, solid salt once the water evaporates. Tama? So these are things that you do in order to pre-treat your sample prior to the actual analysis. Okay? So these are some of the methods that we use in sample prep in pre-treatment. Again, evaporation, distillation, precipitation, and so on. Question? Question? Wala. Okay, next. Next is sample preparation. Samples generally need to be brought into a form suitable for measurements to be made under controlled conditions. Some of these involves dissolution, grinding, fabrication into specific size and shape. Okay? So, sample preparation prior to you analyzing the products. Now, again guys, hindi always na lahat kailangan dumaan sa storage, dumaan sa pre-treatment, dumaan sa preparation. Ang uban, diretso na. Pagkuha sa sample, bam, analyze. Okay? But, if the sample needs this, these are some of the methods in sample preparation, in terms of decomposition and dissolution. Okay? You have heating with concentrated acids like hydrochloric acid, fusion with flux, sodium bioxide, sodium bicarbonate, and so on. Heated with hydrofluoric acid, sodium sulfuric acid, ano ba? Acid leaching, dry oxidation by heating in a furnace or by wet solution. All of this are methods to decompose or dissolve. Decompose and dissolve. Bakit mo na i-decompose o dissolve? Kasi kailangan mo na-prepare para ma-expose ang actual analyte mo. Okay. May question? Wala. Okay. Next we have calibration standards. Let's finish this. Ilang slides na ito. Tama tayo. Okay lang?
Yes, sir.
Do you want a break? 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sige. How many minutes? It's on my clock. It's 2:25. When will we be back? Fifteen minutes. Sige. Back at 4:40. Okay lang? Yes. 4:40. I'll resume at 4:40. Okay. We don't have to leave the group. Okay. No? And instrument or apparatus calibration. So halimbawa, if you are using a weighing scale, no, analytical balance, you have to make sure that it's quite calibrated so that the measurements that you can get are, of course, accurate. No? So that's the importance of having calibration. Okay? In terms of chemicals, we have the so-called chemical standard, which are used as reference material. No? So these chemical standards are usually found in the laboratory as a sample, no? Chemical samples that are used to be a reference to to sample substances. No? So kung meron kang reference na material, chemical standard material, you could use that to make sure that you would be accurate in reading a uh, specific substance. No? Yun yung chemical standard. Halimbawa, in the lab, usually meron tayong mga acid and bases. No? So may mga standard ka na acid at different pH level, may standard ka na bases at different pH levels. Okay? And if you want to, for example, make sure that your sample is, let's say, pH 5, it should match the reference standard. No? A chemical in your laboratory that will have always pH 5. Okay? Important thing here for chemical standard, they should be pure enough, no? Such that if they have impurities, it should not exceed more than 0.02% by weight. No? So very pure ang inyong reference standard. Okay? So yun ang ginagamit para i-compare mo yung mga samples niyo as a standard. Okay. So these are some of the primary standards in the lab used in titrometry. You have sodium carbonate and so on for acid-base reaction. For redox reaction, reduction oxidation reaction, you have potassium dichromate and sodium oxalate. For precipitation, you have silver halides. And complexometric analysis, you have zinc, magnesium, and EDTA. Okay? Chemical standard is of course a chemical, but yung reference material natin, these are also some of mga substances that are used again as that of the chemical standard para maka-compare ka kung ano ang pure substances. These are usually used to refer to pure substances. Okay? So reference material. Now, quality control, in terms of quality control, if you are into, or if you're employed in a laboratory, in hospitals, no? these establishments, these industries always would have quality controls. Okay, so your QC system is there to make sure that everything in your industry, in your field, in your laboratory in particular, passes a certain quality check. Okay, certain quality check. Ah, dapat pag nag-read kayo, nagtanggap kayo ng sample, if you obtain samples from your patient and then you read out the samples, you analyze the samples, your result should always be of quality. No? Meaning, dapat yung mga results nyo are accurate. Okay? And those accuracies could be validated using quality controls. Huh? So, how do we know if the results are high quality? Number one, they should meet the specific requirements of the requested analytical work. Number two, there should be confidence in their validity. No? The establishment, you as the technician should be confident enough to say that your data is accurate and it's cost effective. The work is cost effective. Ibig sabihin, you should not spend too much to perform the quality check. Huh? Because if you think about it, if the quality check would cost too much, that means the cost of the check will be passed on to the patient or the customer, which will make your analysis much more expensive. No? So dapat cost effective ang iyong QC. Now, QC is different from QA. No? So kung ang QC is ensuring that the operations in the laboratory are suitable for intended purpose, your QA, combination naman of planned and systematic actions necessary to provide adequate confidence in the process of quality control. Okay? So when you have QA or quality assurance processes, that would involve interlaboratory studies. So you can compare your own laboratory with other laboratories in the region, no? And compare your processes kung you are all following the standard. You also do proficiency testing, method performance studies. No? So who among all the laboratories are efficient? No? And certification studies. No? So certification studies, no? I'm sure you're familiar with certification bodies like ISO. No? So pagka nakikita kasi sa establishment na ISO certified ito or whatever, now that means that it passes a specific set of guidelines that make sure that the quality of the services that they offer is of high standard. Right? So yun yung sa quality assurance. And lastly, you have accreditation systems, as mentioned. No? These are some of the international organizations that gives certification to attest to the quality of your laboratories or your analysis, your services. Okay? Okay, so that is the end of the presentation, actually. Now, I will give you a scenario, a quiz. I will post it sa Google Classroom. Okay? Everyone is on the Google Classroom na? You've enrolled in the Google Classroom already? Everyone? Baka meron pa dito na hindi naka-enroll sa Google Classroom. Please do so right away. Zachary? Question or any? Okay. Sige. So I will send the question to your Google Classroom. Okay. And I want you to answer it by group. Okay. So it's a situational quiz. No? So I will give you a situation and I want you to make up a scenario, no, on how to address the situation. Okay? So your assignment will be done by group, no? But you will pass it individually. Nakuha niyo? So ibig sabihin, I will give you the question, You answer it by group. Okay? So, same lang kayo sa kagrupo nyo ng sagot, but you will pass it separately as individuals. Nakuha?
Yes
So,
po.
I will expect that everyone in the group would have the same answer. Huh? Okay, naintindihan nyo? Pero ipapasa nyo ng individual doon sa Google Classroom. Okay? So, probably expect it to be posted around 3 p.m. Basta within today, and then you will pass it by tomorrow. Okay? 3 p.m. din tomorrow. Is that alright? Okay lang ba? I will give you enough time.
Yes po, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, sige. Can I take a screenshot for your attendance, please? Okay lang. If you want, you can open your camera. Okay lang din, hindi. Mahina kasi signal ngayon. Okay, I'm taking the screenshot now. Okay. Oh, there you are. We have sige. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Nawala yung iba. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Expect your quiz in a while, okay? You can go now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Okay.
Thank you po, sir. Bye.